Today, I'm going to be working on a new mashup, and you can see over on the right in the subview window a picture of Kid Goku, but I actually won't be drawing Kid Goku today. So who will I be drawing today? Well, I'd like you guys to give me a guess in the comments, and if you've already seen the thumbnail to this video, just please play along, because I do give it away in the thumbnail. Okay, so here's two hints. The first hint is I will be drawing a Dragon Ball character, but it's not Kid Goku. And it's gonna be a Dragon Ball character that shows up originally in the original Dragon Ball. Second hint is I'm gonna be drawing a character from the Marvel Universe. It's a popular character that had a movie come out recently. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds to make your guesses, and then I'm going to reveal what this drawing is going to be. Okay, so first let's reveal the Dragon Ball character that I'm going to be doing today. And before, I kind of misspoke when I said I wasn't drawing Kid Goku today. I actually will be drawing Kid Goku today, but he's not going to be the focal point of this piece. I meant which character is going to be the focal point of this drawing. Okay, here it is. There you have it. We're drawing Krillin today, and Kid Krillin to be exact. Krillin was originally introduced in the Dragon Ball manga in chapter 25, which came out in 1985. And Krillin is one of Goku's first rivals other than Yamcha that he meets in the series. And these two, especially Krillin, started the pattern of starting off as either a rival or a villain, and Goku eventually turns them into a friend. I also love Krillin because a lot of times, especially in the original Dragon Ball, he serves as the comic relief, and I always found him to be incredibly funny. Speaking of characters that are funny or have like a goofball type nature to them, it's time to reveal which Marvel character we'll be mashing up Kid Krillin with. Check this out.
Oh, hello. I know, right?
Okay, so who guessed Kid Krillin and Deadpool? If you did, congratulations. Today, I'm drawing a Kid Krillin / Deadpool mashup inspired by the recent movie Deadpool and Wolverine. And earlier I mentioned that we're gonna be doing Kid Goku as well. So you guessed it, he's gonna be Wolverine in this poster. And I've got to tell you guys, I loved this movie when it came out. I saw it opening night. I thought it was hilarious. I loved the way that they used Wolverine throughout the film, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So that is why I decided to make a mashup piece based on it. When I do a mashup, I usually do try to pick characters that are somewhat similar to each other, at least in my mind. And at first glance, you may not think that Deadpool and Krillin have a lot in common, but I'm here to tell you that they do. We all know that Deadpool is hilarious and is full of comedy, jokes, and fourth wall breaks.
Anyway, I got places to be, a face to fix, and bad guys to kill.
But did you guys know that Krillin also has some history of breaking the fourth wall?
6! Come on! It's not over yet! Krillin, hey! Focus your mind and you won't smell him! Just think about it! You don't have a nose, remember?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The original Dragon Ball actually has a lot of humor to it, and that's one of the things that I always tell people who haven't actually watched the original Dragon Ball. It's very funny, and you should definitely check it out if you have the opportunity to do so. So not only are both of these characters, at least in my opinion, very funny, but you've also got both of them being very overconfident and snarky individuals.
Let's see now. Looks like 11 seconds even. That's a good finish, but Krillin, I'd say you still beat him hands down.
Oh, it's really not fair to compare him to me.
You can see there that Krillin, especially at the start of the series when he's first introduced, is very full of himself, and he doesn't really like Goku that much. That all comes later on as they build a friendship. Those are the two main reasons why I kind of decided to mash up these two specific characters, and I think this is gonna work pretty well. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm using this Kid Goku manga panel reference image on the right to get the posing for my Kid Krillin Deadpool over here on the left, and it just looks like a pose that I think Deadpool would do, especially the way that Deadpool's eyes are. Deadpool's eyes are very important to showing his facial expression because his face is fully covered when he has the mask on. So a lot of the times we're able as the audience to see what he's feeling through the facial expressions and the movements of his eyes. I don't know exactly how Fox and later Disney and Ryan Reynolds and the whole team accomplished getting Deadpool's eyes to move the way that they do while he's wearing the mask. I don't know if it's a prosthetic or CGI, and if somebody knows, please let me know in the comments, but I love the way that they were able to accomplish that in these films. It looks awesome. Speaking of the Deadpool films, if I had to rank all three of the movies from best to worst, or my favorite to least favorite, I think I would have to go number one, Deadpool and Wolverine. I really, really liked this movie, and the fact that Hugh Jackman came back as Wolverine, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie or seen any of the trailers, but he's wearing the yellow suit in the movie, and it was just incredibly done. So I'm gonna go Deadpool and Wolverine number one, and then the original Deadpool from 2016 as number two, just because it was the first one. It was great, it was really funny, and it blew a lot of people away. People didn't necessarily know what to expect because Deadpool was popular, but he became a much more popular character after that movie came out. And then finally I'm gonna go Deadpool 2, which I did also really like. It's just one of the movies has to come in last. The thing that is really cool about Deadpool and Wolverine is a lot of times people will say Hugh Jackman is Wolverine and nobody else can play him. And I think the same kind of thing can be said about Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. I mean, he really has nailed that role throughout the years since he's taken it on, and he did an amazing job so far playing that character. And I think a lot of times when the actor really understands the character, it shines through in the performance. I mean, Ryan Reynolds had an amazing understanding of Deadpool's humor, and it shows. While I was working on this part of the drawing, I really didn't like the way the legs were looking, and I decided, since it's a Dragon Ball mashup, that I should do Deadpool's pants similar to Kid Goku's pants in this reference image. Sorry for changing up your pants, Deadpool.
I did not tell him to do that!
That's my bad, but I felt that it was gonna look better in the long run to do it this way. So now I'm continuing to kind of develop this idea of Krillin dressed up as Deadpool, and I'm kind of making sure that the head looks correct, that the position matches the reference image. I'm trying to figure out how his ears would look, and then of course going into the expression of the eyes, which is one of my favorite things about this drawing. I like the way I was able to capture his eyes here. As I was drawing this, I kind of started to realize to myself that Deadpool really does kind of translate well to the Dragon Ball art style. He does look like some sort of a ninja character that you could find in the Dragon Ball universe. And when it comes to doing mashups, I really enjoy them. That's one of my favorite things that I do as an artist, because it gives me a chance to be somewhat creative while using two characters that I like to mesh together. I know a lot of artists that are really creative and talented, and they're able to make up their own characters and, you know, come up with these awesome designs. I personally don't enjoy making my own characters. I really have fun drawing characters that not only I love, but people also know and love already, which is why I tend to try to do these mashup type pieces. You can see I have a lot of his upper body and torso the way I want it to be now, but again, I'm going back and saying to myself, I don't know about the pants, I don't know about the belt, so I'm starting to add in some of these creases similar to how Goku's is in the reference image on the subview window. And I'm also noticing, I don't know, I kind of want to do the belt more like Goku's martial arts belt. I think that would give it a cool like ninja type look that I think Deadpool would have in this art style. So that's why I decided to go with the belt like this instead of doing Deadpool's normal belt. Another thing that I really struggled with while drawing this piece was I kind of painted myself into a corner as far as how his swords were gonna be with the way that the reference image position was. So when I was trying to draw Deadpool, I realized obviously he's supposed to have two swords, but the way that he's positioned made it really difficult for me to figure out how to draw two swords on his back. So I ended up just doing one sword on his back and modeled it somewhat after the power pole that Goku has there. And then I just used Goku's little string as inspiration for what Deadpool would have around his torso to hold his sword. The design of the actual sword here was something that I definitely struggled with. And I originally was trying to draw this Deadpool sword similar to how you see in the reference image on the right, which was very well done and drawn by another artist, but it didn't have a Dragon Ball vibe to me, which is kind of why I decided to redesign it and try to make the sword look as much like other swords that I've seen in Dragon Ball over the years. This is the point in the drawing where I'm starting to feel like I'm almost ready to do the final line art. And I believe this layer may be the line art layer. So what I do is I just go through the drawing and kind of fine tune things as I'm doing the line art, but make sure to do the line art as cleanly and smoothly as possible. And I definitely use the smoothing function or the stabilization function on the pen in Clip Studio Paint when I'm doing line art. It makes it a lot easier to have clean straight lines, and once you've practiced it and understand how it works, it's really easy, and it becomes kind of like a security blanket. So it's a great tool to try if you haven't done that yet. As I'm going through this process of doing the line art, one of the questions that I keep asking myself in my head is, does this look Dragon Ball enough? And what I mean by that is, it's supposed to be a Deadpool drawing, but I'm trying to draw it in the Dragon Ball art style. So it's very important that if somebody were to come look at this at some sort of showcase or something, if I was at something like that, would they think like, oh yeah, that's the Dragon Ball art style? If the answer is no, then I failed at what I was trying to do. So that's something that I try to keep in mind while I'm doing the line art. This is also a spot in the process where I kind of add some wild cards here and there. Like you saw me adding a little waviness to the string that's holding Deadpool's sword there, and adding in those little features to his eyes and cheekbones, and adjusting things like the length of the sword because I didn't think that it looked right the way that it was before. So these are kind of those fine-tuned moments that I do before I get ready to color and finish the piece. Another fun thing that I was kind of doing while I was making this drawing was imagining this character as a member of the Deadpool Corps, which of course is featured towards the end of the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. And there were so many different interpretations of Deadpool in that portion of the movie that I kind of imagine while I'm drawing this, like what would it be like if this version of Deadpool was somehow in the movie? That was kind of the inspiration I was going for when I came up with this mashup idea. Here I was toying with the idea of adding in some speed lines like you see Goku having in the subview window on the right, but I ended up feeling like it didn't work really well, so I didn't use it in the final drawing, but I just wanted to show you guys what that looked like. And speed lines are tough to draw. Like, Akira Toriyama was a master at this. He makes it look really easy. It's not easy at all to do. It's something that I struggle with all the time. So once the line art's done, which it's pretty much done at this point, I kind of have a sigh of relief because I'm happy with the way that the drawing looks in order to be like, hey, the line art's done. But now I'm adding the line weight, which is one of the best parts of the process, because this is when you really start to see the image kind of jumping off the page. If you see, as I'm adding in this line weight, it's really, I'm kind of highlighting certain lines here and there and doing it in a way trying to make him have some depth and pop off the page a little bit. If you toggle on the line weight filter, you can really see a difference. Now it's time to color this drawing, and I'd really love to know what Deadpool would think about this so far.
Yes, let this man cook.
Well, at least that's what I would hope he would say about this drawing so far. So now we're gonna get into coloring, and I was trying to kind of marry the idea of doing a manga panel color scheme with also keeping Deadpool's traditional colors. That proved kind of difficult to do, and I ended up changing the grays to a different shade at the very, very end of the drawing. When I'm coloring, I'm constantly playing around with different colors. Like you just saw me change the handle of Deadpool's sword to blue, and I'm always wondering, like, does this look good? Do I think this color would look better? And once I finally am ready, I go on to the shading. And for a drawing like this, I'm just really basing the shading off of the reference image. Now, of course, when it comes to the head here and things like that, that's different than how Goku is drawn in the reference image. So I have to kind of figure out how I want to shade it in those situations. But I think it looks the way that it should once everything is all said and done. Another thing that I find important when you're shading is keeping in mind the direction of the light source. And what I was trying to do when I was shading here, and again, I'm using the reference image as a base, is the direction of the light is coming from the right side of the image, which is why the shadow is on the left side of his head. And then once you start thinking about the lighting, it becomes a bit easier to kind of say to yourself, okay, well, if the light's coming from this direction, then this fold here should be shaded, the light should be hitting here, so that should be a lighter shade. And you kind of just go with it and keep shading and seeing what looks good. If I don't think something looks good, I'll use either the undo button or the lasso tool to select what I want to erase and then erase it. And again, like, I don't usually use the actual eraser all that much, just because I find the lasso tool to be a lot more functional for what I need it to do. And also the undo button is just really easy to just hit undo. That's one of my favorite things about digital art. No erasing, no mess, you just hit the undo button. Once you get the hang of the learning curve of doing digital art, it becomes much easier to just want to do digital art because of that reason. One of the things I was going back and forth between when I was making this drawing is, do I consider this drawing a Deadpool in the Dragon Ball art style, or do I consider this drawing to be Kid Krillin dressing up as a Deadpool for Halloween or something like that? And as I was doing the drawing, I kept kind of going back and forth between these two things. So I was just wondering if you guys could tell me in the comments which of those ideas you like better and why. So this part of the drawing is just about done now, and I'm gonna be doing a Kid Goku as Wolverine as well, but I won't be showing that process in this video. I may do it in another video someday, but I'm also gonna be doing a background and kind of doing a Dragon Ball promotional art type of thing here, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit, but basically this is the completed Krillin Deadpool mashup. Okay, let's reveal the whole thing. Okay, so here is the finished Dragon Ball, Deadpool, and Wolverine manga poster. And I have to say, I'm left once again wondering, what would Deadpool think? Thanks, Deadpool. Also, you may notice the Japanese lettering in this piece. Can anyone tell me what that translates to?
I did take 8th grade Spanish, so ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Which literally translates to...
It says Deadpool and Wolverine. And actually, I'm calling this version of Deadpool Krillinpool.
That's the coolest name ever!
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel.